Recording. So that means welcome everyone to this week's Strategic Education Partners Series. Thank you so much for joining us here on Facebook and of course on our webinar here via Zoom. I have the pleasure today of being joined by Adam of Dancing Frame Media, and he's going to be talking to us today about the importance of photography in getting your listing or home sold, and how a good photographer can help, and how having not so great photos can actually deter buyers from looking at your house. So Adam, thank you so much for joining us. I am now going to pass it off to you, and thank you again for being here today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen and pull up my presentation here. And let's go. Oh, 1 second. This is not sharing for some reason.
Oh, let me just double. I thought I gave you. It should allow you to share. It says you have the. While you're doing that, I'll ask you a question. How long have you been in photography?
So I've been in photography for about 15 years. And probably the last 10 years, I've been putting more and more of a focus into real estate photography. And I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of what makes great real estate photography and how can I improve it? How can I be that 2% better every single year? So it's been a bit of a process. Slowly, I've been building it up. And actually, I think I have to restart my Zoom application is what it's saying. So my apologies. I will just relaunch it here.
Okay. All right, so it's going to be just me for a minute. Well, everyone, I hope you're having a great day. I'll just quickly talk a little bit about the importance of photography. Truthfully speaking, good photos will make all the difference in having your listing be sold. Now, there's lots of different ways, but you can tell when a listing doesn't have great photos, and you can know buyers will just be clicking right through it. So Adam's back, so I'll leave it now to Adam to have the professional talk about what the professional does.
There's nothing like fumbling around with your presentation while trying to speak. So here we go. We're off to the races. So I am Adam with Dancing Frame Media. As I was saying, I've been doing photography for about 15 years. The last 10 or so, I've really been focusing on real estate, homes and properties. It's something that I have a real passion for, and I enjoy focusing on like really the technical details of it. And that's one of the things that I love is there's all these categories that you can really break down and focus on. So we are basically a real estate media company that focuses on photography, video, and generally we bundle that with RMS. Now for anybody, I always say, hey, you should have your 30-second elevator pitch of what makes you different. What is it that we strive to do in our business? So specifically for us, and in terms of our photography, and as we go through the slide presentation, all of the photos naturally that you're going to see, they are ours. We try to bring what would be architectural photography practices into real estate photography. And later on, I'll kind of break down what some of those are. And just like we've kind of gone down the rabbit hole as far as photography, we've done the same with our video, where we use actual cinema cameras. It's a giant cinema rig for our real estate video, which allows us to have very high quality and dynamic range and colors within our video. And then for the sake of convenience for the realtors, we provide our services with RMS. So we aim to be a one-stop shop where folks don't have to set up multiple appointments to get their listing ready. They can give us a call, and basically in one appointment, we can take care of basically a number of needs. So why is good photography important? Uh, this one is an obvious one. At the end of the day, you want to be able to sell your listing, and you want to be able to sell it as quickly as possible. Um, Depending on the market, generally it's pretty competitive out there. You'll have a home listing on the same street, or a condo listing in the same building, and you want to make sure that your listing stands out. Um, we've done some research on the internet, and the generally accepted number is uh, good photography will sell a listing 32% faster. So as far as your business, that's an obvious one, right? You want to make sure that those listings sell quickly. Um, and that's a big reflection on your brand as a realtor. The faster that your listing sells, and really the media that's connected to you, that's going to be a representation to future buyers as far as what you can provide. Um, and these days, where social media is such a big part of everybody's business, the great thing about having good photography, good listing photography, is that is content that you can have in your listings. You should be using it on social media, Instagram, Facebook. And as far as your brand, we say, hey, with your listing photography, in effect, you're building up your brand. Uh, if if a customer sees a certain realtor on Facebook or on Instagram, and they're always posting really, really nice photos of their homes, your natural inclination is going to be, well, when it comes time to list my home, that's the realtor that I want to use. I can see that they make these homes look really, really good. And I have confidence that when they list my home, they're going to do the same. So, a little bit of what makes good real estate photography. I think it's one of those things where we can all tell when we see a nice image. We go, oh, hey, that's a nice picture. Uh, but today I want to break down a little bit of the behind the scenes in terms of what makes a nice photo. And the great thing with real estate is the fact that we can break these categories down. Sometimes with, let's say, people, it's a little bit hard to tell, and it's really subjective. But with homes, there are some generally accepted guidelines. So specifically, in order for a home to sell, you want photos that are nice and bright. Um, and as far as homes, that poses a little bit of a challenge, because not every day is a nice sunny day like today. So you want to make sure that you are using a photographer that is capable of producing nice, bright photos for you, regardless of if it's an overcast day or if it's a sunny day. Um, you want to make sure that your colors are accurate. I'm sure we've all seen those photos that have, a heavy blue color cast, or are kind of a nuclear orange. And that's not how the home actually looks in person. The angles are very important. Um, the way that you would look into a room, or even the height. So if you take a look at kind of all of these photos that we've had as side brackets, you want to make sure that your photography isn't all taken at a single height. If we think about a kitchen, you want to make sure that your kitchen photos don't show the underside of your kitchen cabinets. But if we think about a bedroom, you want to make sure that your camera angle is lower down, so that 3/4 of the bed isn't cut off. Um, you want to make sure that your verticals are straight. So what that is In our homes, we always have vertical lines. This photo is a representation of that. So any real estate photo, we can always draw these vertical lines and we can see, are those verticals running straight? And depending on how you set up your camera, and this is a really easy one, you can grab your iPhone, take a picture of your room and go, are my lines straight? And you'll notice they're not. Like, you really have to make sure that you balance that out. And this is a little bit of a mental hint to the home buyer as far as, how is this home built? If all of the photos that you show them have crooked walls, then they're gonna wonder, but they're not gonna be able to put their finger on just what is off about this. Uh, so when I started this presentation, part of what I said is, as far as bringing architectural practices into real estate, whenever you look at a good architectural photo, or if you ever look at a high-end real estate photo from a magazine, you'll always see anything that runs vertical through that image is absolutely vertical. There's no lines that bow in. Um, so we are absolutely religious about leveling out the camera for every single one of our shots, because we don't want something like this. It doesn't matter if it's if it's a high-end kitchen or not. We want to make sure that we represent the home as well built, and we are not the ones that are skewing off the vertical lines. Um, so this is how this photo should have been taken, and now we can see all of the lines run nicely straight through. And when you're viewing this on your devices, it becomes even more critical, because when you're scrolling through on your phone or on your iPad or computer, there's always the straight line of the screen. That's a reference for the buyers. So this is a really small thing that gives your photos a little bit more of a polished and professional look, um, that we should be paying attention to. And then the last one on my list was floor plan. If you have a collection of photos, the thing that I'm always challenging myself to do is, would a buyer be able to draw a floor plan from my collection of photos? Are you able to tell how the spaces connect from one to another if you reviewed all the photos and you're making your mental notes? Because we want to make sure that we're not just looking at a random collection of rooms where you go, okay, here's a room, but what is the relation of these rooms to one another? So we're always trying to make sure that we have, yes, we have photos of those rooms, but that we're employing these connecting shots. So we can see, yeah, where is the living room in relation to the dining room? Where is it in relation to the entryway? And I go, a good listing photography package. Again, if you sat down with it, you should be able to draw out most of a floor plan from going through those photos. Another thing that is really important, so I started off talking about exposure. We can obviously see a well-exposed image, but it's the exposure of also those connecting rooms, the closets, or the bathrooms. Very often you'll see photos where the main room that the photographer in, it's nice and bright, but then the view into the walk-in closet or the view into the ensuite, we're seeing a dark room over there. And I always say we want to make sure that we light everything that we see in the picture. So if there is a view into another room, and importantly into an ensuite or a walk-in closet, uh, you want to make sure that that photographer has either used flash or they've composited in a brighter image, so that they've adjusted for that exposure difference. The cameras are still not at the same level as the human eye, so we do have to help them out a bit, but we don't want to have our main space well exposed and then be looking at an extremely dark and not inviting ensuite, or in this case, where this home was a bungalow, we have a little peek into the master bedroom. We wouldn't want a really dark and not inviting master. So we're always looking at what is in frame and what are we conveying about the rest of the home. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about how you can set your listing photography up for success. So whether you're a good photographer or if you hire one, there are a couple things that you can do to either help yourself out or to help your photographer out, to effectively make sure that they are focused as much as they can on the photography, and in producing those quality images for you. So I always tell folks, think show home. We've all been in those show homes that are very well decluttered. It's very easy to look through the space. There aren't too many things that tie up our eyes. And generally it begins with the exterior as far as driveways. Very often we arrive at a home and there's either a vehicle or there's a trailer in the driveway. You really want to make sure that you have an exterior photo where there's nothing to clutter up the exterior of the home. Say there's a nice clear driveway. We don't have garbage cans in the way. There are plenty of things that we move. I always joke that in my job, I'm half photographer and half mover. But the reality is to get the best quality, you want your photographer focusing on the photography. Pet accessories are a big one as well. Generally, for our homes, we don't want to emphasize things like dog bowls, any kind of toys, that type of thing. So there's been plenty of times when I've looked off into the corner of a photo and I go, oh, we need to tidy this out of there. And then depending on your listing, it's also really good to think about what are the unique things that you can do to highlight that home. Every home has something that is special about it. So things to think about. Will the home benefit from drone images? Very often a drone image doesn't have to be what you would typically associate with an aerial view of being 300 feet up. Sometimes you have a home like this one where the driveway slopes down, and if you stood in the driveway and took a picture of the home, you wouldn't have a very well balanced image. You would just be looking up at the home. As I kind of talked about, those vertical lines, they would definitely be askew. So sometimes a drone comes into play really just to lift the camera up by maybe 20 feet. That's what this image did. If a home has really good lighting, it can be worthwhile to think about a twilight shot, again, such as this, to emphasize that lighting that it has. This shot here, so the previous one was a drone image. This one had us standing on top of our SUV to get something similar out of camera. So it is that question of how much do you think about your perspectives? And that is most of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Adam. Oh, you can leave that up if you want.
Absolutely.
Let the people see your contact information there. So I have a couple of questions coming in.
Yep.
One is, what other services do you provide? Because you had mentioned cinematic video and RMS. So can you kind of explain your process with the cinematic video as well?
Yes. So with our video, we provide video walkthrough tours that always include drone footage with them, and that's something that we also do for our photography. There is always a drone component, provided that the winds are under 30 kilometers per hour. Uh, and then the cinema aspect to it is, and you can kind of see part of the rig that we use in the bottom right hand corner. Um, that camera basically shoots an insane amount of data, which gives us a great amount of latitude in editing. So if you go to our website, dancingframemedia.com, right on the main page, you can see some of the videos that we do. But then there are some other components to it. So we have some realtors that like to do video walkthrough tours where they're either at the beginning of the video or they're giving a tour of the home. Uh, Something like that is certainly a little bit of more of an investment as far as time on the realtor's part. Generally, you got to sit down, kind of work out your script, and uh, being on camera, it's a skill like any other, right? And it's a skill that you have to practice. But for those that want to do that, we do record with realtors in frame as well. So the video portion, it could go a couple different ways. It does include the drone, and then for some of the homes, we do a daytime portion, and then we would also do a nighttime portion if that home has incredible lighting that we want to show off.
Cool. Do you guys then do 3D tours as well, or just the walkthrough tours?
So currently it is just the walkthrough tours. We do actually have a Matterport camera on the way, so that's going to be changing hopefully in the next 30 days here.
Cool. So there's your 2% improvement this year, right?
There's the 2%. Yeah, always trying to see again how can we get better, and I'm always talking to our existing clients as far as what is it that you are looking for, and again, how can we really be that one-stop shop? Because I know that it's a hassle for you guys if you go, okay, well, I have to call 3 different businesses to effectively get my listing ready for the internet. So slowly we've been picking up these services to get to that one shop status. But along the way, we've also wanted to make sure that in what we provide, we are experts in, and every one of those services, you can look at it individually and you can go, yeah, I would pick them, just for this, like that, that photography is incredible, or the videos are incredible, and soon the 3D tours as well.
Right. Last question. How much time should someone, like how far in advance are you currently booking? And once you're booked, what's the time frame that someone should budget for the video tour or walkthrough tour, photos, RMS, etc.?
So in an average week, booking 3 days in advance is typically going to be the best way to go. Uh, I'm sure when full spring market hits, that might extend a little bit. But we do try to be really flexible. And one of the things that I really like about this business is the relationships that we get to set up. With all the clients that we work with, it's always repeat business. It's always referral business. And the clients that we work with, they know that we strive to be as flexible as possible, and we are very, very responsive. In terms of time on shoot, it is going to vary depending on which services you are booking, and obviously the size of the home as well. But kind of general guidelines was every one of those services is going to be about an hour. So photography, an hour. If there's a video component to it, it will add an hour. And certainly, if there was a 3D tour, it's going to add about an hour as well. So an hour per each one. Uh, But again, I'm very easy to get a hold of, and uh, contacts me in advance and says, "Hey, this is the listing that I have coming up. Also, this is what I would like to emphasize in that listing. I can give you an idea so that you can set the expectation with your customer." Um, and very often we are trying to see what is there in the community that we can connect the home to. So just very quickly, I talked about the interiors and how we want to make sure that we connect all the spaces. Generally, the big benefit to using the drone is so that we can do that for your home within the community. So that if if there is a nearby pond or a nearby school or a nearby shopping center, we can set up a drone shot where we go, here's the home, and we can see where that home is in relation to the amenity. And that's obviously that something that generally you cannot do from a street view.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I had one more question. What areas do you service?
So currently, it's all of Edmonton in a very very wide diameter. So there hasn't been a job that we've said no to yet. We we're quite happy to drive out and do the acreages on all sides of the city. Part of this, yes, obviously it is a business, but part of it is a huge passion. So for myself, I love getting that variety of one day maybe we're shooting a condo downtown, and the next day we're out past Sherwood Park and we're shooting a large acreage. So currently there are no restrictions as far as our service area.
Okay, awesome. Well, the website was dancingframemedia.com. So if you have questions or want to see more specifically the videos and their type of work, please do visit it. And Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure learning a little bit more about real estate photography.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Alex.
Okay, have a great day, everyone. See you.